Shalom Aleichem, my dear brothers and sisters. In this video, I would like to talk to you about the Jewish law when it comes to divorce. So, according to the Torah law, if a man divorced his wife, he can actually remarry that same wife as long as she did not get married to someone else in the meantime. So, if a man, let's say, divorced his wife and she got married to someone else, and then even if she gets divorced from that someone else, she can never go back to her first husband, meaning he cannot take her back as a wife. That's one law. Another law is that if, let's say, a woman while being married cheated on her husband, right, and after she cheated and then let's say she repented, or and let's say the husband forgives her. Still, according to the Torah, the husband is not allowed to live with her any longer. He must divorce her. And not only that, and the boyfriend that she cheated with, he's also forbidden from marrying the woman he cheated with. Even if they all, let's say, repented and forgave each other, and it was a mistake and they did it and they repented, still, according to the Torah law, the husband is not allowed to continue living with her, and the boyfriend is not allowed to live with her. And the reason for these laws is, at least according to the Ramban, is so that to avoid what's called like legal promiscuity, meaning so that a person would not, let's say, temporarily, let's say a husband divorces his wife for like 2 days, she lives with another man, then that other man divorces, she comes back to the first man. So in order to avoid this so-called legal promiscuity, or sometimes I heard the term used, pleasure marriage, where a person gets married for like just a few hours or a few days or something like that. In order to avoid something like that, that's why the Torah limited to how many times the same husband can marry her. And another thing that we have, another law in Judaism, is that if she, let's say, once she gets divorced from her husband, there's a 3 month waiting period. So meaning she cannot get remarried to another man within 3 months. Now here the reason is more of a like practical reason, because according to Judaism, it's very important to know who the father is of the child. So if she, let's say, got divorced and then got married and let's say right away got pregnant, there's always going to be a doubt: whose child is it, the first husband's or the second husband's? And therefore, in order to avoid such a doubt, that's why there's a decree that we are not a woman has to wait 3 months before she would get married to another man. Why 3 months? Because by 3 months it's already certain whether she's pregnant or not. So if she's not pregnant by the 3 months, then obviously if she gets pregnant, the baby is gonna belong to the new husband. And now, why is it important to know who the father is? Because there's a whole series of laws that deal with relationship between father and son. For example, if a child, a son, or let's say, hit his father or cursed his father, according to the Torah law, the court, the Jewish religious court, would actually give him the death penalty. If there are witnesses and there was warning that he's not, he's about to do such a crime, if all the conditions are met, that Jewish court could give him a death penalty. However, if this was not his father, his real biological father, then there would be no death penalty for such a thing. So therefore, it's really important to know who the father is. That's why in Judaism there's a whole series of laws that are designed in order for us to be certain who the father is. In fact, it's interesting that the Talmud, which was written 1500 years ago, even describes such case where, for example, if a woman, let's say, if a man was in a bath, right, and then somehow he came out of the bath, and let's say a woman went into that bath, just some random woman, right, into that, I'm not sure what the case is, like a pool of water or something, and somehow she got pregnant, from that water because the man was in there, a minute before. And the Talmud discusses who is the father. Is it the man who was in the bath or the husband because she didn't do anything wrong? she didn't cheat or didn't do any sin, but she just got pregnant. So, anyways, so the Talmud discusses this now. Back in the days, it was, this by the way shows how I think the Talmud was way beyond their time. Meaning in that 1500 years ago when the Talmud was written, this was more of like a theoretical question. The sages, the Jewish rabbis, foreseen that this might be relevant. But nowadays, this is actually this discussion is very relevant because nowadays it's, doctors can do this artificial insemination where a woman is married but she, let's say, the father for some reason cannot have children. The doctors are able to get her pregnant without her actually being with somebody. So that's why the questions whether it's allowed or not in Judaism, that's I'm not discussing here. I'm not exactly sure. I didn't really look into this thoroughly, but um, the fact that the Talmud mentions this 1500 years ago shows that this is this discussion is very relevant nowadays. So anyways, to recap a little bit, if a woman gets divorced from her husband, she has to wait 3 months before getting married to another man. That's one law. Another law we have is that if a woman gets divorced from her husband, he can remarry her as long as she did not get married to some other man. If she did get married to another man and she got divorced from that other man, then the first husband is already not allowed to marry her. And another law is that if a woman, let's say, cheated on her husband, then the husband must divorce her, and the boyfriend is also not allowed to marry that woman. I hope this gives you a little idea. Thank you for watching.